Part 80. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 796. The entire community immediately entered a first-level alert state. Yao Weiwei knows too much. I know how rich they are in all kinds of supplies, I know they have achieved basic self-sufficiency, I know they have just received a new batch of supplies from the base. Just the stockpile is enough to feed more than 200 people for 3 years. Who can not be tempted by such a big fat guy? After hearing it again, the elderly, weak, women and children accounted for the majority in their community. Wouldn't this be equivalent to giving them away for free? Tao Ran felt that if he was the Dongcheng group, he might not be able to survive tomorrow, so he had to immediately organize manpower to rush to grab a wave first, or at least to find out what was going on. Yao Weiwei knows their personnel composition, knows their specific abilities, knows that their east gate has smooth access. Such convenience will make the people of Dongcheng unbearable. Fortunately for Tao Ran, she always disliked and was wary of Yao Weiwei, so Yao Weiwei was never allowed to have access to the weapons warehouse in the community. In Yao Weiwei's mind, they should be a small group with only a few broken guns without bullets. They are weak bodies that have no chance of fighting against the people from Dongcheng Hospital. This information may give them an advantage in the early stages of the guard battle. Tianhu suggested that maybe they could quickly light the signal flares provided by the base. The base should send people over soon, and then they can use the power of the base. Tao Ran thought for a moment and shook his head after 3 seconds. Not good. When the people from the base arrived in a hurry, if Dongcheng had not launched an attack, their community would be suspected of lying. People at the base will definitely investigate Dongcheng Hospital quickly. Then, they will definitely find that Yao Weiwei is there. By then, whether the people in Dongcheng take Yao Weiwei as a hostage or negotiate with the base, that will probably be another story. If Yao Weiwei gets sick again and says something unfavorable to the community, Tao Ran and the others, there is no guarantee that Dongcheng and the base will join forces to deal with them in the community. That would be just shooting stones in the foot. For the time being, the signal cannot be burned. The base cannot know that Yao Weiwei has fallen into the enemy's hands. Tao Ran had already thought about it. She could make a good time and let the base people finish the job. A little bit of layout was quickly arranged. Now that things have happened, there is no need to hide them anymore. The weapons warehouse was finally opened for the first time. Guns and ammunition were abundant, and they were immediately distributed to everyone in the patrol team. Almost everyone received a gun and a number of bullets. Time becomes very important. No one can be idle any longer, and all supplies must be prepared for transfer. Tao Ran ordered 2 more groups of people. Make a move and follow her out for action. The remaining group consists of 30 people. They will form teams of 10 and go to the other gates of the community except the east gate to lure as many zombies as possible. She wanted to make sure that after the people from Dongcheng arrived, the entire neighborhood would be filled with dense zombies. Make it impossible for their cars to pass and get closer. If they want to come over, they will have to pay a huge price. In this way, even if they have grenades, there is nothing they can do. Even if they want to have a quick victory, it is still wishful thinking until they deal with the surrounding zombies. As the backup retreat point for everyone in the community, the West Kindergarten needs to be well protected. Fortunately, they had kept a large number of zombies active outside the kindergarten. This can save you a lot of trouble. And the advantages of earlier wise layout are also reflected. There have been too many zombies in recent months, which has seriously affected their lives and travel. Therefore, in addition to confining a large number of zombies at the construction site to the east of the community, the front garden of the kindergarten was no exception. From the grass in the front garden to the playground, everything was crowded with people and zombies wandering around, which was enough to scare people away. But for Tao Ran and the others, it was an extremely reassuring cover. Who would have thought that the second half of the park would be clean without a single zombie? Under the shade of green trees and flowers, there is peace and tranquility. So as for kindergartens, you can rest assured for the time being. There is no way the other side can break through from there first. At most, Yao Wei knew that some of them would occasionally go to the kindergarten vegetable garden, and would never have thought that it was the first escape route Taoran arranged for everyone. As for the east gate of the community, I don't care about it for now. At the east gate, Taoran and the others still had to go in and out by themselves. Just now, Taoran found Tian Tian. Tianation's uneasy prediction a few days ago has already happened, but Taoran still believes in her. Sister, I feel so panicked. There was uncontrollable anxiety on Tianation's face. Today, I feel what will happen today. It will be very important to us in the future. Taoran patted Tianation's shoulder. She felt the same way, and her predictions were coming true. I'm afraid there will be action soon in Dongcheng. Taoran hurriedly led a group of people and set off first. The ones she took away were all those who had recently been personally trained by her to be experts in vision and good at shooting and archery. Among them is Grandpa Fang, who is devoted to protecting his homeland and has a sword that never grows old. They took away the batch of sniper rifles they obtained from the bank last time, and one of them was equipped with a pistol. They formed an assault team and first ambushed a high-rise building at the junction of the west and middle of the city. That building is right at the crossroads and stands tall. It is a good observation point and sniper point. Standing here, Grandpa Fang can basically see most of Dongcheng. They will conduct 360-degree observations here. As soon as there is any movement in Dongcheng, they must take action immediately. According to Taoran's estimate, the opponent did not know that he had a large number of weapons, so the opponent's first deployment of troops must be based on exploration, so there was a high probability that they would not attack on a large scale. The opponent's number is small, their strength is not great, and they are not well prepared and don't anticipate enough, so naturally they will strike preemptively without being polite. It would be best if you can scare the other party away. If not, you can also make the opponent hesitate, and then their large-scale attack will inevitably be delayed. It is always good to buy time for everyone in the community. And if the opponent suffers a loss in the first round, then the blame will definitely be placed on Yao Wei, who made a big mistake in intelligence. Snort. She can't escape this lesson. In view of this, everyone is gearing up, thinking that not only will the other party suffer heavy losses, but they can also seek justice for Fang Fang. Let Yao Wei suffer a lot. There is no need to hide and cover up now, everyone is always ready to take action. Grandpa Fang carried a sniper rifle, placed it on the roof of the building, and pointed it towards the east. Wait a minute, let you see my vision and accuracy, old man. Facts have proved that Taoran's prediction was accurate. 20 minutes later, Grandpa Fang saw it. In the direction of Dongcheng, 8 vehicles have already gathered, heading straight to the west. You'll be nearby in 8 minutes at most. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 797. According to Taoran's plan, his own side would attack resolutely before the opponent pressed forward on a large scale. Bracket, sneak attack type attack. Use this as a defensive measure. While delaying as much time as possible, it also weakens the opponent's strength. Once the opponent counterattacks with all their strength, they will retreat directly. Usually, the losses on defense are smaller than those on offense. They are not afraid. They have plenty of food, so use it slowly. At present, Taoran and the others quickly made preparations. Taoran took Yan Hui and 2 other brothers with speed powers down to the 2 east-west roads for a walk. As soon as the big living person appeared, the 2 nearby roads immediately began to become congested. In this way, we can ensure that when people from the east city come over later, they will choose the path with the fewest zombies and the smoothest path, which is the path directly under the tall building. This can provide them with a lot of advantages in sniping. Over the past few days, they have often seen Dongcheng people burning, killing, and looting in the city. These are extremely evil people, so they have no moral burden. On the contrary, everyone knows that being kind to these people means being cruel to one's own people. In order to protect family and friends, killing is also necessary. They are ready. They quickly disperse to several nearby buildings. This will ensure that if a high-rise building misses, there will be somewhere else to flourish. The more dispersed the sneak attacks are, the more panicked the opponent will be, and the more difficult it will be to organize an effective counterattack. 1 minute after getting ready, the car in front arrived. All the guesses were accurate. You could see clearly from a close distance. Several cars were full. They had seen a lot of traveling in Dongcheng, always 2 or 3 cars, but this time there were 8 cars at once, which showed that they were destined to win. Everyone has already made arrangements. The first car is the most important, and Mr. Fang volunteered for it. According to the original plan, the old man aimed at the wheels of the first car. When the opponent was still more than 100 meters away from his tall building, he pressed the trigger. There was a pop sound, it was hit. The tire of the first car, which was driving normally, was shot, deflated, and skidded instantly. The car suddenly lost control and slid sideways. Tao Ran and the others did not continue to move, but each took cover. They didn't know what kind of powers those people in Dongcheng had. But if there is a sensing ability within 100 meters like Ren Hao from the bank before, it will always be trouble. So the old man was shooting from 100 meters away. Sure enough, although the other party found it strange that the car suddenly lost control, he did not realize that he had been shot. Several cars came up from behind and stopped one after another. Several people got out of their cars to check. Some looked around to guard against zombies, and some began to check the tires. Tao Ran and the others were waiting for now. Almost at the same time, the cold guns were launched at the same time, and the grenades were thrown by the brothers with superpowers. The roaring sound was accompanied by the shooting, and the place was instantly lively. "There's an ambush," the Dongcheng group's shouts were meaningless. They were arrogant, this realization came too late. They really didn't expect that anyone would dare to ambush them and attack them. As the largest force in City A, since the outbreak of the virus, they have not encountered any force that dared to come and provoke. Almost all living people would hide away from them when they saw them. They have long been accustomed to this kind of overlord-like rampant activity, walking around the city without any scruples. In addition, since they dealt with the 2 forces in the bank last time, they have not found any other armed organizations in the city. They always thought that their Dongcheng hospital force was the only organization with weapons in the entire city A. But what is this now? Spy? Gun? Grenade? Is the variety quite rich? Quite strong? Not just one sniper rifle, but from all directions. Not just one grenade, but at least 7 or 8 explosions in just 1 minute. The bullets for the pistol are even free of charge. Why are they more wasteful than them? The strength of the sneak attacker cannot be underestimated. There is such a thing in the city. Up to this moment, they still couldn't believe it. The consequences were immediate and tragic. The few people who had just gotten out of the car to help check, without exception, fell one after another before they had time to hide. In less than half a minute, 5 people had been shot. The tires of 3 cars were hit, which means that 3 cars have been destroyed. The bullet came from the front range, but it could not be accurately locked. Sneak attackers are so high up that it's hard for them to fight back. And those grenades were still exploding, which made them subconsciously hold their heads. But even so, in a short period of time, 6 or 7 people were hit by grenades. Terrible. The first reaction of the following cars was to turn around and leave. At this time, Ran had already used Qinggong to reach behind them while firing the gun. While she threw several grenades out, she also lit 2 strings of firecrackers and threw them down. The movement was loud enough, the smell of blood was strong enough, and a large number of zombies were coming quickly. Ran hit the wheel of another car. The car was instantly useless. The people in the car didn't dare to delay any longer, so they quickly abandoned the car and ran away. They called for help to the 4 vehicles that had fled ahead, but the 4 vehicles had no intention of coming back. Nonsense, you finally escaped, how can you come back? And they don't have any seats in the car, right? They are not blood brothers, so there is no need to die in the same year, the same month and the same day. Preserving one's own life is the most important thing. So the 4 cars that left didn't stop, and in the blink of an eye, they left only a trail of exhaust fumes. The 5 people who got out of the car were on the verge of crying and had no choice but to run away. But ahead, a large number of zombies are coming. That's not all. When they looked up, they saw a girl above them pointing a gun at them. In order to facilitate shooting and save sniper rifle bullets, Ran had switched to a pistol for shooting. The 5 people below were shouting for mercy and surrender, but they did not forget to draw their guns and shoot Ran. It's a pity that they are not Ran. They can't multitask, running and fighting zombies at the same time, and they don't have the convenience of Ran shooting from a high position. These 5 people were almost shot by Ran one by one. 5 bullets, none of them missed. 5 people fell one after another. Zombies rushed towards him, but only one person begged to Ran, expressing his willingness to tell everything for help. Ran took action. She used Qinggong to drag the zombie up to a tree before the zombie pounced on him. Since she knew nothing about Dongcheng people, she really needed an informant. Seeing his companions being pounced on by the zombies, and turning into delicacies, the guy Ran was dragging shivered, and took the initiative to hand the weapon into Ran's hands, saying, "My name is Quan, as long as you let me I am alive, I can say anything and do anything." 10 minutes later, the crowd of excited zombies on the street gradually calmed down. Except for the 2 people Ran and the others captured alive in the first 4 cars and the 2 people rescued by the other cars, all 14 people in the first 4 cars became food for the zombies. Ran and the others tried to lure the zombies away, then began to count the loot and prepare to leave. The other party will definitely return to this area to take revenge soon. They have to go back quickly to prepare for the next round. Thank you Brother Long and Xiao Ao for the reward, thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 798. The first wave of Dongcheng people's attack was repelled just like that. Everyone in the community paid a total of 39 bullets and 10 grenades. They created a huge noise and showed great strength. This will definitely make the people of Dongcheng fall into a kind of anxiety and suspicion. Ran does not expect them to retreat just like that. But it is certain that they will have differences and complaints. Ran took a gamble and counted the loot with everyone just like opening a blind box. In the car, they found 2 boxes of complete ammunition, totaling 100 rounds. The bullet type is the same as the gun in Shuefei's car before. They can use it and make a profit. A box was found under the back seat of the 3rd car, which was full of neatly arranged grenades. 20 in total. Another big profit. The other car almost ran away, and a box was found in the trunk of the car that Ran chased. There was actually a loaded assault rifle and a light machine gun inside. Ran hissed. Just this weaponry is too powerful. If you hold these 2 guns, you won't be afraid even if you are surrounded by zombies. Just go around in a circle, isn't it invincible? Are your weapons good? Taoran looked at the captured prisoners. This is also our best equipment. These guns were obtained through special channels. We were reluctant to use them before. The bullets for this kind of gun are very precious. This is the first time our boss has taken it out. He ordered that the mainnet is used to intimidate and prevent us from wasting a bullet. We originally planned to take out our guns only when we arrived at your community, and use powerful weapons to take down your community in one fell swoop. We feel that a group of about 40 people is more than enough to deal with your community of more than 200 people. If you resist, we only need to shoot with these two guns to make you submit. I just never expected that not only do you have firepower and weapons, but you also dare to strike first. So these two good weapons were locked in a box and seized before they could see the light of day. Taoran laughed when he heard this. Even if I didn't make a sneak attack today, would they be able to make me surrender just by shooting? They think too much. How many good weapons like yours do you have? When this question was asked, the two prisoners were asked to answer separately. Dongchen was in trouble this time, mainly due to wrong information. Taoran would not let himself make the same mistake. So she deliberately kept two prisoners. They are just afraid that the prisoner will lie casually, but they will not know it at all. If two people ask separately, if the answers are different, then there must be a question mark. Soon, they got the same answer. Good weapons like Dongchen also have two submachine guns and a light machine gun. But the refill magazine is gone. So our boss is very frugal. He makes it easy for us not to allow large-scale shooting. Soon, Taoran and the others also found a small box with something similar to a grenade inside. What's this? After questioning, they learned it was a smoke bomb. It is said that the other party originally planned to use smoke bombs to confuse them first, and then attacked violently. In addition to these, everyone also found 12 ordinary pistols and a large number of bullets, as well as 6 pieces of bulletproof vests that were basically intact. No matter what, this time it can be said to be a fruitful harvest. Look at these scrapped cars again. Each one has been modified and can withstand crashes. The fuel tank in the car is almost full and it can still run for a long time. And Dongcheng people have generators, which is great. The vehicle has sufficient power, and everything that needs electricity, such as lights, bright flashlights, fully charged walkie-talkies, and the front of the car equipped with a power grid, is all available. It would be a shame to abandon these cars. Rather than dismantling the car battery, it is better to replace the tires directly. The people from Dongcheng will definitely come back soon. These cars can't be taken away or they have to be burned. Anyway, don't leave them to them. Everyone took action immediately. Mr. Fang once again climbed up to look into the distance and took charge of keeping watch. 15 minutes later, the spare wheels of several cars were replaced. The convoy left quickly. Indeed, half an hour later, Dongcheng regrouped 15 vehicles and cautiously approached this area. They were very frustrated. After the virus broke out, this was their only team action in which they suffered a huge loss. They couldn't believe it. No, they gathered again and rushed over as quickly as possible, wanting to see if they could recover their losses. This time they did not dare to take it lightly. Fully armed, superpowers in place. However, not only had all the ambush on the other side been removed, not even a single bit of supplies had been left behind. The entire scene has been cleaned up, and apart from some corpses, only bullet casings are left on the ground. They brought nothing back except a pair of shoes hanging on a telephone pole. That was a souvenir specially left by Taoran for them. At this time, Taoran was still questioning the two prisoners. It was confirmed that Yao Weiwei, who was captured by the Dongcheng people, had explained everything about the community, including the base, in order to protect herself. However, people in Dongcheng are not interested in the base. Firstly, because the base is under the jurisdiction of the military and they are not in conflict with them. Secondly, How can it be more comfortable to surrender to others than to be a local emperor yourself? They don't want to be controlled. Thirdly, their early weapons, many of which are military and police series, if investigated further, they have a grudge against the base. Based on these 3 points, they couldn't wait to break up with the base. So they just want to take over the community that Yao Weiwei mentioned. Their original plan was to launch a blitzkrieg and take control of the resource-rich community before the sun set. They wanted to send more people. However, the incident happened suddenly. It was broad daylight and the main forces in the East District were looking for supplies outside, so for the time being, only 8 cars of people were gathered. They made some estimates and felt that there were enough people, so they set off without further delay. If the community cannot be conquered before sunset, they will regroup with the second batch of manpower. Prisoner, we underestimated the enemy, so we deserved it? Tao Ran continued to ask. Who is the leader of your East District and what is his origin? The prisoners were quickly recruited. The leader of the East District, the famous Wan Yan, who was known as the King of Hell in the world and self-proclaimed King of Hell. He was ruthless and decisive. He had been in the underworld earlier. He was very skilled and was good at fighting and throwing knives. He triggered the power after the end of the world. And clairvoyance dual powers. The superposition of these 2 abilities makes him even more powerful. Although his clairvoyance power cannot see through other people's thoughts, it is internal vision and can see through other people's weaknesses at a glance. This provides him with great convenience when fighting with others. He uses his own strengths and avoids weaknesses, but he can take advantage of them. His life gate. In addition, his martial arts skills are 1 of 100, and his strength and abilities make him invincible in every battle. So Wang Yan's position has always been very stable, and none of us are his opponents. Tao Ran clicked his tongue. So strong. If I were to fight with him, who would be stronger or weaker? Do you have any special powers in the DC area? Our leader's sister, her power is to see through other people at a glance. No one can escape her sight. Anything else? After some questioning. Fortunately, the other abilities are more or less the same, nothing more exaggerated and strange. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 799. Tao Ran also asked Song Tao and Bai Ying. She was told that Song Tao, who had 2 powerful powers, was now the second in command in the DC area. As his right-hand man, Bai Ying, along with several brothers from the bank, was doing well in Dongcheng. Their small group has made many achievements and has been promoted to one of the top 3 groups in Dongcheng. Tao Ran raised his eyebrows. Fine. Originally, the accounts with Song Tao and the others also had to be settled. In the plot, they are the foreign invaders, and it is the same this time. It's just that the ending will definitely not be what they want. At this time, Dongcheng was already in a quarrel. No one expected that their surefire attack would be ended before it even started, and they would suffer heavy losses. Although their main strength was not greatly affected, their military morale was severely hit. Are the promised weapons of the opponent only homemade bows and arrows and iron rods? So the first reaction of Dongcheng people was that they had been deceived. Deceived by Yao Weiwei. This woman is either a traitor sent by the other party, or she is deliberately lying to harm them. Yao Weiwei was beaten up by the angry Dongcheng people and suffered a lot. She was also confused. She wailed. Those people in the community are really at odds with her. Why did she finally escape, but she still suffered from them all the time? Still can't get rid of them. She finally convinced these people that she was here to provide valid information, and when they took over the community, they would let her go. Fortunately, she still thought that as soon as she returned to the base, she would find someone to rescue Shenrong and the others. But she is so kind, why can't she get something in return? Shenrong and his gang are so bad. How could they harm themselves like this? Don't they know they were captured by Dongcheng people? Don't they know that their attack will come back to them? Yao Weiwei explained hard, but the guys in Dongcheng didn't listen at all and just put the blame on her. She said that this time they lost more than a dozen brothers, 4 cars, and a large number of weapons. Even 100 of her would not be able to pay off the debt. They also put several wounded people in front of her, forcing her to use her powers to heal them quickly. Yao Weiwei said that she could only use her powers twice a day at most. As a result, she was severely beaten and threatened to be thrown out to feed the zombies. She completely emptied herself and managed to cure 3 people, and then collapsed in the cage. On the other side, the people from Dongcheng were still noisy. A group of people felt that they should not listen to a woman of unknown origin, which resulted in heavy losses. People in Zikan community knew clearly that Yao Weiwei had been arrested but did not take any rescue operations. Instead, they dared to attack her secretly. They obviously did not care about this woman's life or death. Then the identity and importance of Yao Weiwei are questionable, and what she says may not be credible. Maybe, the people in Zikan community are just waiting for them to come to their door, just like the ambush just now. So they have to be careful and not rush to fight again. Another group of people felt that since the people of Zikan community were proven to be very capable and had such powerful weapons and equipment, they would naturally have less access to other supplies. In this case, we can't let it go. Who was their group afraid of? If you can't even defeat ordinary people, how can you conquer the world? You should take advantage of the opponent's lack of preparation and capture it quickly. Is it a matter of careful consideration or a fight to the end? The two groups refused to give in to each other. After arguing for an hour, there was no conclusion. Bai Ying suddenly knelt in front of Wang Yan. On the road where the fierce battle took place, he recognized the pair of shoes left on the street lamp by the people in Zikan community at a glance. They were Jasmine's leather boots. He had almost turned the entire city upside down these days, but he still couldn't find Jasmine. It turned out that she was detained by people from that community. Now that he finally had news about Jasmine, he naturally couldn't sit still and wait for death. I want to save my sister, Bai Ying said. My sister has the rarest power nowadays, the power of space. Her space is very large and can store hundreds of thousands of kilograms of food. These are all still there. Bai Moli told him this in the blood letter she wrote back last time. Sure enough, as soon as he said these words, Wang Yan, who had expressed great impatience with his behavior just now, looked over and leaned forward slightly. My sister is equivalent to a walking super warehouse. In this way, our supplies and weapons can be stored in it without fear of wind and rain or being stolen or robbed. We can also infinitely expand our territory. We can officially fight. The world does not necessarily have to be limited to this small area. Tao Ran deliberately left Bai Moli's shoes behind, mainly to delay the opponent's launch of a full-scale attack, and to create more voices within them to create some slight conflicts. I have to say, the effect came quickly. Everyone in the community here had just finished dinner when someone reported that a car was coming 3 streets away. And it looked like it wasn't a door-to-door attack, but more like a negotiation. Tao Ran took his prisoner Quan to the top of a building. Through the telescope, he could see that there were only 2 cars coming. There is a Dongcheng logo on the front of the car. The 2 cars were parked there with no intention of getting closer. Tao Ran understood that they deliberately avoided the effective range of the sniper rifle. Someone in the car in front was waving in this direction. I know this person. It was Bai Ying. Who are the other people? Tao Ran asked Quan. The one next to Bai Ying is Song Tao. Song Tao, whom he hadn't seen for several months, had grown a beard. Tao Ran didn't recognize him at first glance. The other 2 people in his car are 2 of his men. In the car behind, sat our boss's sister and the person he trusts most, Wang Ziyi. There are also 2 superpowers and an upside-down woman. Tao Ran naturally recognized the woman lying upside down. It was Yao Weiwei. Tao ran he, this is both Song Tao and Wang Ziyi, she already understands the other party's intention. Bai Ying took the car loudspeaker and started shouting, Shen Rong, I am Bai Ying. I know you have Bai Moli, and I am here to make a deal with you. Hand over Jasmine, and I will return Yao Wei you. We are even. Speaking of which, you still made the profit, Yao Wei is worth a lot. Tao Ran asked someone to help her get a speaker. They still have speakers. The previous properties and small shops all had loudspeakers and dry batteries. Raise her voice, turn up the loudspeaker volume to the maximum, and it will be transmitted hundreds of meters without any problem. Ken. Of course she had to agree. At least you have to agree on the surface. If she refused in front of so many people in the community, wouldn't she become the culprit who murdered Yao Wei? It wouldn't be fun if we were liquidated by the base in the future. So she has to work hard. At least you have to work hard. Bai Ying, where is Jasmine? Where is she? I want to see her. Wait a moment, Tao Ran asked someone to take Bai Moli away. We can't trade like this. Bai Ying was a little impatient. How about we arrange a place in the center, then I will take Yao Wei, you take Jasmine, and how about we exchange hostages? The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 800. Facing Bai Ying's inquiry, Tao Ran was not in a hurry to answer him. At this time, whoever is anxious is the grandson. She just held the binoculars lightly and kept looking at the two cars in the distance, and asked a Quan beside her from time to time. Song Tao and Wang Ziyi in the car were also looking here with binoculars and kept moving their mouths, obviously urging Bai Ying. Tao Ran knew that they were just as anxious as Bai Ying. Of course she knew what they were anxious about. What's urgent is that the sun is about to set. After the sun sets, it will be very inconvenient to use their powers. What's urgent is that they are here. On the one hand, Bai Ying wants to exchange for Bai Moli. For these two leaders, it is more important to find out the value of Shenrong and Bai Moli. Although they had Yao Wei in hand, it was obvious that the information Yao Wei gave was unreliable. After being surrounded and killed during the day, they could no longer believe what this woman said. If they want to take action, they naturally need to know the true strength of the actual leaders of the community. So Song Tao came, he wanted to pry into Tao Ran's mind. Wang Ziyi came, and she wanted to spy on Tao Ran's powers. This is the reason why they agreed to Bai Ying to exchange hostages. Tao Ran had already had several contacts with Song Tao, and knew that his powers were particularly powerful, so he had already inquired about him thoroughly. With his ability to see through people's hearts, he has to face each other face to face and look into the other person's eyes for at least a second before he can see what the other person is thinking. This was just confirmed by Aquan. Unfortunately, the sun sets just right today, and after we get to the top of the building, the setting sun is just a little bit dazzling. In order to see clearly, Tao Ran habitually wore large sunglasses. So until now, she has never shown her eyes. Since Song Tao couldn't spy, he had to urge Bai Ying to change the trading point before sunset so that he could observe at a closer distance. Tao Ran's guess was basically correct. Indeed, the atmosphere in the car is terrible right now. Bai Ying was in a bad mood because it had been a minute since he made the suggestion, but Shen Rong still ignored him. He is very afraid of rejection. He was more worried about what would happen to his sister. He finally persuaded Wang Yan to agree to consider exchanging hostages and let Wang Ziyi decide the matter. Wang Ziyi was also in a bad mood. She is not like Song Tao, who has to look into people's eyes to see anything. What she sees is people's anger. So even if they are far apart, even if they are not eye to eye, she can still see through the superpowers at a glance. Because of this ability, she helped the team recruit a lot of talented people. For example, Song Tao is. That day at the bank, they went to finish the job, originally intending to kill them all. However, Song Tao, who surrendered, was caught by her at a glance. The power was too powerful, so she decisively accepted Song Tao, which greatly improved the strength of their team. She almost never failed in this ability. But now, she looked at Shenrong, and looked again and again. Look through the telescope, put down the telescope and look again. Looking left and right, you just can't tell what kind of superpower Shenrong is. It can't be that there are no superpowers, right? That's a joke. She couldn't even convince herself. How could a guy who can lead more than 200 people and make a group of superpowers obey him not have superpowers? And during the day, some brothers saw her walking like a ghost on the roof, fighting against 5. Does that mean she doesn't have any special abilities? Impossible. According to the analysis of the brothers, Shenrong has at least 2 special powers. Wang Ziyi was very depressed. Why can't she see it? Is it because you didn't take it seriously? Is it too far away? Or what methods did Shenrong use? Could it be that Shenrong has the kind of superpower that no one can tell what it is? Or is it that her superpower is too strong and suppresses her own superpower? It's hard for Wang Ziyi not to have all kinds of wild ideas, and she doesn't dare to underestimate Shenrong. At this time, Song Tao was getting angry. The moment he saw Shenrong, his supernatural powers were sensed. The scene in front of him was all about that nightmarish night when he suddenly fell from a high position and became a prisoner. Most of his brothers died and all his savings were in vain. Scenes passed by like a revolving lantern. He could clearly identify that this Shenrong was the night traveler who set up obstacles for his convoy on the street in the middle of the night, so that they could not rush back to the bank immediately. He jumped up and down and obstructed him in various ways, but they were unable to do anything. It was because of her that they were sent away from the mountain. They didn't get back in time and were eventually surrounded and suppressed. Therefore, Bai Jasmine has always been in her hands. She planned the incident on the school playground, she planned the brawl at the bank, and she took the lead in everything. No wonder what happened that night was so weird. To this day, he still hasn't figured out the cause and effect. He didn't understand why they ended up fighting with a group of people he had never seen before. It turned out that the instigator was here. Hateful. Everything that night happened at all costs was for the wrong person. His enemy not only lives a happy life, but she is also a woman. Frustrated, Song Tao even had his seat belt torn off. Song Tao angrily grabbed the walkie-talkie and asked Hoche Wangzi, what kind of power does she have? If possible, he would have to kill Shenrong with his own hands. Have no idea. But Wang Ziyi replied like this. There was an eerie silence in the car again. Song Tao smashed his fist down, and his whole body was shaking with anger. I don't know Shenrong's special abilities or what Shenrong thinks. I'm afraid this Shenrong is more cunning than they thought. If they can't reach a deal, their trip will obviously be in vain. Bai Ying was a little panicked. He was afraid that his 2 leaders would give up the exchange and repeatedly called Shenrong anxiously. It's so noisy. Shenrong's voice suddenly came. If you keep making such noise, I will kill Bai Moli right now. Bai Ying's voice stopped suddenly. Wang Ziyi and Song Tao's expressions became a little ugly again. Bai Ying was completely fooled. Their deal was weak from the beginning. Can it succeed? The 2 of them closed their eyes almost at the same time. After 3 minutes of anxious silence, Bai Moli finally arrived. Tao Ran, come on, your sister is here. Bai Moli was pushed to the edge of the building, and the speaker was hung to her mouth. Brother, brother, Bai Moli shouted at the top of her lungs. His desperate shouting was also intermittent, and the familiar voice of being out of breath came into his ears, and Bai Ying burst into tears. Isn't this his favorite sister? The white jasmine in the telescope looked sallow and skinny, making Bai Ying's heart clench. My sister is suffering. Brother will definitely save you. Don't worry. Jasmine, Just hold on, I won't give up on you. Bai Ying was in a hurry. He couldn't care about anything else and once again emphasized and demanded that the transaction should be carried out immediately. The transaction is fine. Tao Ran crossed his arms and said, but the specific requirements, time, place, and method are up to me. Okay. As long as you ensure Jasmine's safety, I can agree. Besides, your Jasmine is almost like a pig. It's so delicious and lazy to cook. It only consumes and produces nothing. I've raised your Jasmine in vain for a long time. Do I need to settle the food and accommodation expenses? However, before Tao Ran finished speaking, he saw the second car over there, Wang Ziyi's car, suddenly started without warning, backed up, then made a sharp U-turn, and with a whoosh, left. Tao Ran. What? So rude. Thank you for your monthly votes, thank you for your lifelong visit to the bookstore, Reset Lai Huo Wivyo, and the book Friend's Tale number 46293 Babies Reward, thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 801. Tao Ran smiled and watched Wang Ziyi's car leave. And his call came from the loudspeaker in Bai Ying's car, Sister Wang, don't leave, please. Song Tao didn't expect this sudden occurrence. Sister Wang, why are you leaving? Wang Ziyi's voice came faintly, Bai Moli has no superpowers. So this deal is cancelled. Bai Ying shouted impossible, and Song Tao also asked are you sure? Confirm. Bai Moli, 100% has no powers, she is just an ordinary waste. Wang Ziyi's words were hard to hear. She glanced at Yao Weiwei, who was still lying down. Bai Moli is worthless, and it is absolutely impossible for our team to trade Yao Weiwei for her. So there is no deal. Bai Ying, you have to consider the overall situation. Then, Wang Ziyi cut off the signal directly, not giving Bai Ying any chance to beg. She won't waste this time. Originally, she and Wang Yan were just waiting and watching. They had already suffered heavy losses today and it was absolutely impossible for them to make any more loss-making transactions. Trade. Hee. With Shenrong's aggressive behavior just now, even if this deal is successful, they don't know how much they will have to pay. Forget it. Just think that your trip was in vain. Tao Ran picked up the speaker again. Bai Ying, what do you say now? Yao Weiwei is gone, can the transaction continue? She had already guessed this would be the case. If Bai Jasmine's spatial ability is still there, then the people of Dongcheng may still consider swapping. But now, unless the Dongcheng people are stupid, they will never agree. No matter how bad Yao Weiwei is, she is still much better than Bai Moli. At least she has a healing power. This is a power that can relieve your worries. With a war imminent, this ability is especially useful. In addition, the people in Dongcheng should already know about the base. They have taken weapons from the military and police and have a grudge against the base. By keeping Yao Weiwei, they might be able to manipulate the base in the future to avoid being liquidated. This bargaining chip will be used sooner or later. So Tao Ran felt from the beginning that this deal would not be possible. Bai Ying, I'm sincere. You go back on your word, you can't rely on me for this. Tao Ran tried his best to rescue Yao Weiwei, but the other party refused to let her go. After that, Yao Weiwei's life and death had nothing to do with the community. Once the posture is in place, it doesn't matter what happens next. Tao Ran simply sat down. She was not in a hurry at all. Just play slowly. The trumpet was handed over to Bai Moli, and Tao Ran let her play freely. These days, this is the first time Bai Moli has grasped a life-saving straw. Of course she won't give up. She begged and exaggerated her current pain. which made Bai Ying's heart twist like a knife. "Moly, I won't give up on you. Shenrong, tell me, how can I let Jasmine go? As long as your request is reasonable, I will definitely do it." "Then, let's get some weapons and supplies." Chaoran raised his head. "Just 20 guns, 500 rounds of ammunition, 100 grenades, 500 kilograms of grain." Chaoran opened his mouth and asked casually. Song Tao, who was in the car in the distance, couldn't bear it anymore. His face was a little burning and painful. He doesn't have Alzheimer's yet. This scene is neither the first nor the second time. This is the third time this has happened. Exactly the same. Use White Jasmine to make them hand over supplies and weapons. They complied every time, but what was the result? When have you not been fooled around? When did you lose your wife and lose your troops? Bai Jasmine is still in the opponent's hands. The other party is treating them as fools. The more Song Tao thought about it, the more angry he became. To put it bluntly, a large part of the weapons resources in this community now belong to their original bankers. Shenrong and the others were beating them with their supplies and weapons, and now they have to continue to provide. Are you crazy? No. Bai Ying, wake up. But brother, I finally found Jasmine and saw Jasmine. Jasmine is only a few hundred meters away from me, how can I give up? I am her biological brother and now her only relative, how can I not save her? I promised my second brother that we must find Jasmine. I can't just watch her. Bai Ying was begging for help when he suddenly heard another scream coming from her girl. Everyone in the car looked around. It turned out that Bai Moli's feet slipped when she was pulled by Chaoran. So now Bai Moli is sitting on the roof of a tall building like Chaoran, with her legs dangling in the air. Looking from below, it seems that she will fall from the sky if she is not careful. Bai Moli was horrified. Although she has no freedom these days, she is still afraid of death. It's so high, there's no way to survive if you fall. She doesn't want to be broken into pieces. She was crying and screaming. She didn't dare to struggle too much, but she couldn't break away from Chaoran's hand holding her back. She could feel that as long as Shenrong patted her behind, her whole body would fall. Bai Ying quickly stopped him and asked Chaoran to show mercy. "Chaoran, are you kidding me? I'm going back on my word. I'm in a bad mood. So, please give me an answer quickly. 5 minutes. If you don't give me an explanation after 5 minutes, I'll just act on my heart." She pushed gently, and Bai Moli's whole body was suspended in the air. A howl like a slaughtering pig resounded in the air. 3 seconds later, Chaoran was dragged back again, making Bai Ying sweat all over his head. Unable to save her sister, Bai Ying almost knelt down in front of Song Tao. "Jasmine has always called you brother. You have watched her grow up. You can't bear it? This world does not allow kindness to women." Song Tao slapped Bai Ying on the head. "The team will not allow you to redeem such a waste with supplies." "Then I'll leave the team," Bai Ying made the decision instantly. "I must save Jasmine." He took the loudspeaker again. "Shenrong, I can't give you what you want in one go, but I can get you 100 kilograms of grain and 5 guns first. This is all I can give. If you give me more, there's nothing I can do. Just agree. Where did you get the 5 guns?" Song Tao grabbed the speaker. "Brother, give me the gun you have on you first. Adding the 2 I have here, there will be 5. When I rescue Jasmine, I won't give it to you. I won't allow you to save that waste." Take his gun? Beautiful thought. What should he do? If he gives the gun to his opponent, how will he explain it to the team? What's more, the woman opposite has already harmed them like this. He wouldn't believe a word that Shenrong said. Moreover, Bai Ying is his person. If he wants to retreat now, if this guy does something in the future, will it be blamed on him? Song Tao, who had a lot of mental activity, activated his superpower by the way. The two looked at each other. 10 seconds later, Taoran saw the car shake. The fight started. Soon, bang bang gunshots were fired. Baimoli screamed and covered her mouth. There was chaos in the car. Not only did the two people in front start fighting, but the two people behind them also participated. Hand-to-hand fights and stuff are the best. I should have known earlier that I should have brought some melon seeds. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 802. Dog bites dog and so on. Taoran is most willing to prejudice. It doesn't require dirty hands and is also enjoyable to watch. Add in the bloody plot of fratricide and loyalty, and it is simply the best pastime before tea and after dinner. Taoran watched with great interest. In the telescope, 4 people were struggling together. The gun rang 5 times in total. After almost 3 minutes of back and forth, we finally saw the result. The person who walked out of the car was Song Tao. Bai Ying was being dragged out of the driver's seat by the other 2 people and thrown into the back seat. He wasn't supposed to be dead, but both legs were shot. Song Tao was also injured, and the arm he was holding was bleeding. Like a poisonous snake's eyes, Song Tao glared at him, filled with hatred. He took the loudspeaker and shouted to Taoran. "Shen Rong, you are so vicious. If I agree to Bai Ying, you will make a fortune again and continue to hang him. If I don't agree to Bai Ying, our brothers will definitely turn against each other. If I kill him, go back, I can't explain it to some of my brothers. If I don't touch him, I can't explain it to the group when I get back. Even if I hurt him, people will inevitably question me when I get back. Everything I did was wrong, and you've really spent a lot of time scheming." Taoran shook his head. "You are overthinking. What tricks should I use to deal with clowns like you? It's just easy." Song Tao gritted his teeth. "I leave my words here. I will come to deal with the old hatred and new hatred between you and me soon. When the time comes, I will make you miserable and make life worse than death. Why do you talk so much nonsense?" Taoran laughed again. "If you continue to delay like this, you will be late when you go back, and you, the king of hell, will definitely doubt whether you have made a private deal with me. You will suffer when the time comes, but don't rely on my scheming again." Song Tao over there was so angry that his mouth turned bitter. Indeed, Wang Zi has gone far, and if he doesn't come back, it will inevitably arouse the boss's suspicion. Oh shit. Everything is wrong. Nothing is right. What can be done? Song Tao and the others quickly got in the car and left. Bai Moli cried uncontrollably. Not only could she not save herself, but her beloved brother was suffering in front of her, but she was still powerless. What should she and her brother do? Can she still escape? She was sad and cursed Song Tao. Taoran looked at her without feeling any pity. Her pain was less than 1% of Shen Rong's. Because of her selfishness, she didn't even have the slightest regret or self-blame for hurting her brother. How could such a person feel the pain that Shen Rong felt? Taoran dragged her up and said, "Stop howling. Your brother is not dead, he will definitely come to save you." Real nature. Perhaps, for Bai Moli, extinguishing her hope again and again is the greater revenge and torture for her. 2 hours later, everyone in the DC district was still in a meeting, and the decision on what to do with the Zikan community was still undecided. Beat or not? This is a problem. Wang Zi brought back his judgment of Shen Rong, unfathomable. I don't know the opponent's abilities or ideas, but he is full of bad ideas. Holding Bai Moli for such a long time and being able to stand still shows that the city is deep and far-sighted. Seizing the opportunity to strike first shows that you are decisive and decisive. Just a pair of shoes caused chaos within their team, and they were led by the nose, all of which pointed to the other party's leader being unusual. Everyone we observed on this trip is a superpower, Wang Zi added, including the two women who brought Bai Moli to the top of the building. They also have superpowers. One is a clairvoyant, and the other is a clairvoyant. It's induction. Although they are mostly old, weak, women and children, they may not be really weak. Wang Zi didn't know that after Chaoran found out that they were coming, he deliberately arranged for the superpowers in the community to show up, just to intimidate and frighten them. It would be best to give them up the idea of attacking. Wang Zi. What I mean is, think long term. Find their weaknesses before attacking. I don't know why, Wang Zi feels very bad. This made her unable to resist expressing her opinion. Unlike her, who is sober and rational, her younger brother Wang Yan is full of passion and is easily instigated. Thanks to her always pouring cold water on the team made fewer mistakes. Normally, no one else would interrupt after Wang Zi spoke, and Wang Yan would usually obey. But this time, as soon as Wang Zi finished speaking, Song Tao came up. Fight! We must knock down that community. I want to avenge my brothers. I want to kill the enemy with my own hands. I want to comfort the brothers who died during the day. Regardless of whether you support me or not, I will fight a war, and I will not return until I win. If you trust me and nod, I can be the vanguard and lead my former brothers to kill them all. You only need to lead the main team to hold the battle, intimidate, finish and respond. Let's conquer that community, take away their supplies, and become the sole overlord of City A, where we can enjoy the food and drink. Most of the people were holding their breath, but they could not withstand his instigation. After a while, there was only one voice in the whole hospital, hit. Wang Zi felt even more uncomfortable in his chest. She sighed, if you decide to fight, you have to do it quickly. The sooner the better, she had already figured it out. The reason why Shenrong left Bai Moli's shoes after the sneak attack on them was not to provoke them, but to disrupt their sight and slow down their attack that might have already started. Because of Bai Moli and Bai Ying, time was delayed for more than 5 hours. In fact, they have missed the best time to attack. As for the community, tonight's inspection scope was expanded to the West City area outside the community for the first time. In the time that just passed, they made a lot of preparations. In addition to continuing to attract zombies to the area on a large scale, they also set up obstacles on several roads outside the area to ensure that it would take at least 2 to 3 times longer for Dongcheng people to approach the area after entering the nearby area. The walkie-talkies originally owned in the community and collected during the day were all fully charged using car batteries to maintain communication between everyone at all times. At 10 o'clock in the evening, there was movement from the direction of Dongcheng. Act as planned, Chaoran gave the order. Yan Hui and other people who were originally patrolling quickly retreated. They left the observation point as quickly as possible and returned to the community. After counting the number of people and confirming that everyone except Shenrong was back, the 3 large iron gates at the east gate of the community were closed. This is what Chaoran requested. She is not going back to the community. She will have big things to do later. Now, she is going to make trouble first. Wearing a body armor and a protective hood, she quickly began to observe the cars coming from the DC area. After all, it cannot be underestimated. Looking at the past, there were at least 60 vehicles coming from the other side. Even if each vehicle only carries 4 people, there are still more than 200 people. No better than those in the community, these people are all powerful, vicious, and experienced guys in combat. Looking again, I saw 2 7-seater cars following behind. In this way, I'm afraid there will be more than 300 people coming, or even more than 305. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 803. The disparity in strength between the enemy and ourselves is too great. Are the people from Dongcheng Hospital almost all gone? Ran had already asked Aquan that the total number of people in the Dongcheng team was less than 600. The vast majority of them were people with fighting ability, almost 400 people. Most of the remaining people are family members and the like. In comparison, Shen Rong and his community could only fight dozens of people. Even if you include your uncles, aunts, and sisters who have recently learned some furry martial arts, plus some younger brothers and sisters, you can barely make up 100 people. If they were to go head-to-head with Dongcheng people who were experienced in fighting, they would obviously not be enough to look down on them. But it doesn't matter. Since the other party has already come, the more they come, the better. Ran smiled. Originally, she had no plan to confront the Dongcheng people head-on. The enemy is in the light and we are in the dark, the enemy is advancing and we are retreating, the enemy is attacking and we are defending, this is her strategy. In short, this time, she will try her best to keep everyone in the community intact until the end. And become the final and only winner. She wanted Shen Rong to see that they, ordinary people without special powers, could be invincible as long as they united as one. At this time, watching the opponent's convoy heading west, Ran continued to lament that the opponent was well prepared this time. After all, he came out of the hospital, and they brought 3 ambulances this time. This can ensure that even if their people are injured and cannot receive supernatural treatment, they can still receive medical treatment as quickly as possible. Also, they have a military vehicle. The front of the car has been modified and should be made of special materials. This car is probably used to attack the goal. The kind that kills you. If it were an iron door, I'm afraid it wouldn't be able to withstand dozens of blows, right? Ran didn't watch, and she didn't stand still either, she slowly moved closer to the convoy. There are roadblocks they set up in advance in front of the convoy. Sure enough, the roadblock soon came into effect and the opposing team slowed down. Ran saw the opportunity and used Qing Kung Fu to speed up and approach. Seeing that she was close to the detection range of the opponent's superpower, she threw a few grenades and ran away. 2 cars suffered an immediate disaster and were directly bombed. The people in the cars were also injured to varying degrees. The time when Dongcheng sensed something was wrong only lasted for 1 second. He followed the position and saw a faint silhouette of a person flashing past. There is someone there. Don't chase anyone, Wang Ziyi gave the order. No matter how she looked like she was trying to lure a tiger away from the mountain. Have they been deceived enough? The other party's sudden appearance may be a delaying tactic. It's late at night, how can I find and chase this passing figure? Rather than wasting that time, it would be better to get there earlier and kill 2 more people for revenge, which would be more practical and enjoyable. So, no one really went after Ran. The 2 bombed vehicles only transported the wounded to ambulances and then moved on. The moment they opened the ambulance door, Ran saw Yao Weiwei sitting inside. The wounded person was thrown in front of her, and she shook her head frequently, and then she was punched on the head without any surprise. Yao Weiwei is being forced to help people heal, but she can only use her powers twice a day. Seeing her like that, she has already exceeded the limit, right? Now she knows what it is like to live without freedom. However, Ran didn't expect that the other party would be so calm this time. They carried out a sneak attack, and they could still hold it in? She was mentally prepared to run dozens of miles using Qinggong. Since the other party won't step on her, don't regret it. Ran flew over the wall and rushed straight towards the next roadblock. It wasn't like the other party was going to take the wrong path, but the timing was right. As soon as she got to the right place, the other party arrived too. 2 more grenades were thrown over the wall by her. While she was running away, she didn't forget to throw a few more grenades out. There was a roar. After all, the other party couldn't hold it in any longer, pointed at 2 cars and started chasing her. She knew Ran the best in Zikan. She easily got rid of him while walking through the streets. She used a similar method once. She jumped directly into a house, but the other party failed to catch her again. Then she disappeared. Dongcheng people lost a total of 5 vehicles. The wounded were all transferred to their ambulances. Taoran had already found out that Dongcheng people also had their own healing powers. That was a young boy, much stronger than Yao Weiwei, who could treat 4 to 5 times a day. However, let alone 4 or 5 times, even 40 to 50 times, it will soon be in vain. All she has is the solution. The closer the Dongcheng team members got to that community, the more they became worried. After all, in a community with about 200 people living there must be some lights, candles, and flashlights, right? But no, this area was pitch black, and it seemed like no one lived there at all. People from Dongcheng were very cautious when approaching. Knowing that people in the community have weapons and are likely to attack by surprise, they are afraid of being sniped. But seeing that they had entered the sniper range, there were no shots or grenades coming. Still nothing happened. They once thought there would be an ambush nearby, but in fact there was no such thing. They even began to have the illusion that there was no one in this community at all. To this end, they also confirmed the name of the community to make sure they were not mistaken. Isn't it because everyone has moved away? The strong flashlight flashed across the high areas of the community, but no hidden snooping person was seen. Wang Ziyi, it's just a mystery. Where can the old and weak people in a community be transferred? However, this community is too weird, so it is inevitable that there is no fraud. According to Yao Weiwei, the east gate of this community is accessible. But how could the people of Dongcheng believe her so easily nowadays? They did not attack rashly. The convoy stopped a few hundred meters away from the community, and they occupied a high-rise building to observe closely. The far-sighted person watched for a long time, but he didn't see anyone walking around in the community. The entire community was covered with trees, and there was nothing in sight. However, outside the north and south gates of the community, there were densely packed zombies. To the west is a kindergarten. Looking over it, there are also zombies. Indeed, as Yao Weiwei said, the only thing that might allow them to enter the community is the east gate. Although there are zombies outside the east gate, compared to the thousands outside the north and south gates, there are only a few hundred zombies outside the east gate. The difficulty of packing up is minimal. It seemed that Yao Weiwei was not lying. People in the community entered and exited through the east gate. Far-sighted person, the zombies outside the east gate are relatively active. They are obviously wandering faster. The people who attacked us halfway probably just returned from the east gate not long ago. Dongcheng people quickly made arrangements. Song Tao led 100 people and tried to attack the east gate first. If there is a scam at the east gate, the rear will help them retreat. Once the east gate is opened, they will immediately press in from behind to help with the attack. The action begins. Song Tao set off with more than 20 cars and took a detour to the east gate of the community. Afraid that the other party would be waiting for an ambush, they did not dare to get out of the car and become the target of the sniper, so they sat in the car and drove rampant all the way until they were less than 100 meters away from the east gate. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 804. Inside the East Gate, I don't know what is hanging these zombies. These zombies were all excited and surrounded the door, with 3 floors inside and 3 floors outside, blocking Song Tao and the others from even seeing the door. I can't tell how many floors the door has, what material it is made of, whether it is reinforced, and whether it is suitable for climbing. They immediately made arrangements. Let half of the people clear out the zombies first, and the remaining people prepare weapons and tools. Once the zombies are cleared, they can take up positions and attack. Song Tao began to give orders. As soon as their car lights turned on and their voices came out, the zombies near the east gate were completely attracted to their attention and gathered around them one after another. A mere few hundred zombies are easy for them, the superpowers who have come through hundreds of bloody storms. Brothers, we will clean up these monsters in 5 minutes, Song Tao grinned. What responded to him was the shouts of his brothers and the howls of the zombies. The zombies fell one by one. Everything is going smooth. 2 minutes passed and half of the zombies had been eliminated. Song Tao took the walkie-talkie and asked his men to prepare special military vehicles to attack the east gate. But before he finished speaking, the voice of the clairvoyant in the team came over the intercom, saying what was wrong. At the same time, his deputy was motioning for him to look back. When I looked back, I saw that the back was a bit blurry. It's getting foggy. Still starting to smoke. Hundreds of meters away, there was a thick cloud of smoke. Can't see anything? Is it on fire? Wrong. A familiar smell appeared in the nose, a bit like the smell of their homemade smoke bombs. Song Tao remembered that during the day, the smoke bomb in one of their cars should have fallen into the hands of the enemy. This smoke bomb was set off by Shenrong and the others. What are they going to do? Are they to the east of themselves now? If I remember correctly, the east side of the community is a construction site. No wonder there is no one in the community. Could it be said that everyone in the community has hid in the construction site? Are they going to counterattack now? Ha! Innocent. Just them. Song Tao sneered. How many people are there on the other side? He asked the clairvoyant through the intercom. Can't see clearly, that's what the other person said back. The area of heavy smoke is not small. From the construction site to your area, it is now covered in thick smoke. Be careful. I'm afraid there is a scam. Song Tao was full of dissatisfaction again. Not believing in evil, he jumped directly onto the roof of his car. I thought I could see far from the top, but indeed, the smoke was getting thicker and thicker. He couldn't see anything clearly, and his eyes felt extremely sore. Yes, that's the recipe for their team's smoke bomb. For a time, he and his people were all in tears and their eyes were spinning. No matter how powerful the superpower is, it can't stop the body's instinctive pain. On the intercom, Wang Ziyi's voice came again. How about you return it first? It's safer this way. Wang Ziyi still felt bad. No, Song Tao replied firmly. Most of the zombies in front of the east gate have been eliminated, and he doesn't want to give up. Facing Shenrong, how many times has he returned defeated? He couldn't accept the fact that he retreated before fighting again this time. Although he lost to Shenrong several times, every time it was not a head-on confrontation, but a conspiracy, so in Song Tao's heart, he never felt that he really lost to her. Tonight, he must settle the accounts with her. So what if she has extraordinary powers? If there are too many ants, it will kill the elephant. She will die tonight? He didn't believe that she could turn over with such sneaky tactics. So what if she puts everyone in their community behind him now? Isn't it just a mere 200 people? 200 trash, against his 100 elite soldiers, it's obvious who will lose and who will win, right? Shenrong. Don't be sneaky. If you're capable, come out and we'll fight head on. Let's see what you're worth of 200 pieces of trash. Song Tao was only halfway through his shouting when he suddenly got stuck. He heard something not quite right. Then, suddenly, there were two booms. Something exploded near him, obviously a grenade. The explosion caused by the grenade was golden and red, making the surrounding area light up instantly. At the same time, the familiar voice came again. You look down on 200 people, but what about the 20,000? It's Shenrong. Even if my 200 people are trash, you can't just see them if you want. Since you don't like my 200 people, I will give you 20,000 zombies for fun first. You pass this level first, and then challenge my people. Shenrong's voice didn't sound far away at all. It's clearly nearby. Yes. A grenade can be thrown over, and the distance is no more than 100 meters. Ken. This 100 meters sounds close, or it may be the farthest distance in the world at this moment. Because there are thousands of zombies between them. Song Tao was so angry that he hit a zombie's head with one punch. When Song Tao stopped mid-sentence, what he heard was the disgusting sound of zombies coming from behind. He is so experienced. This is definitely not the sound of one or two zombies, but the sound of a large number of zombies. He was panicking at the time, and before he could react, the grenade exploded, allowing him to see clearly behind him through the smoke in those 2 seconds. Zombies have blocked their way here. Endless as far as the eye can see. There is a huge crowd of people, all of them zombies, rushing in excitedly. At this moment, he suddenly understood the meaning of the smoke bomb. It just makes them unable to see what is behind them and how much it is for the first time. He also understood that the grenades pointed the direction for the zombies, allowing them to come faster and more accurately. He understood better why there were only a few hundred zombies at the east gate. Just waiting for them to take the bait. Even if their team hadn't separated and more than 300 people were pressing forward, facing 20,000 zombies would still be an absolute dilemma. From what he could see, the zombies were so densely packed that he had no doubt that the number of zombies behind him would be less than 20,000. The 100 of them were blocked here before they had even killed all the zombies in front of the east gate. This was the reason why Tao Ran was not in a hurry to return to the community. She decided early on to abandon the north and south gates because of the special nature of the east gate. The east gate is remote and inconspicuous. The road in front of the gate is not particularly open and will not attract anyone's attention. The most important thing is that she took a fancy to the construction site outside the east gate. The human heart cannot stand the test the most. The human heart in the apocalypse is much scarier than viruses and zombies. The community is weak and lacks protection. If she wants to protect the people around her, she can only use her strength. Compared to humans, zombies are more obedient. So from the day she arrived, she thought about using zombies as a shield. She placed a large number of zombies outside the north and south gates and in the kindergarten. How could she forget the east gate? The construction site outside the east gate was the place she chose to raise zombies early in the morning. So this is the real reason why she chose the east gate to enter and exit. In the past few months, in order to facilitate access and create a protective barrier, she has been leading everyone to drive more and more zombies on the road to the construction site. After such a long time, the huge construction site was bustling with zombies. In fact, it's more than 20,000. If the zombies wandering inside the construction site complex are included, I'm afraid there are at least 30,000 zombies in this construction site. Tao Ran had long thought that if someone came to her door one day, she would give these zombies a delicious meal. No, someone really came to the door. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 805. After Tao Ran made trouble a few times, he began to wait and see. She had been sitting in a dark, broken car outside the gate of the construction site. Of course, she had already prepared this car to park there, but its appearance matched the environment and looked worn out. The opponent's motorcade came in a mighty force, and she could clearly see them parked under a building a few hundred meters away from the car. She also saw that they were divided into two parts, the starting team and the main team. Then, she watched quietly as Song Tao led the team to the east gate of the community. They are cautious and all their attention is directed towards the community. Compared to the dark and desolate abandoned land where Daoran was, how could anyone pay attention? When Song Tao and his convoy began to clean up the zombies, Tao Ran also took the time to calmly get out of the car. She stood in the corner dressed in black and blended in with the environment. She was carrying a long bamboo pole in her hand, and 2 injured and bleeding live chickens were hung on the pole. She climbed the pole over the construction subway gate, lifted it up and circled it. Song Tao and the others suddenly started killing and made a lot of noise, so a large number of construction site zombies had been attracted to the construction subway gate facing the east gate of the community. The already restless zombies were attracted by the living flesh and blood in Tao Ran's hands, and they went crazy. Tao Ran opened the iron door suddenly, and a large number of zombies began to rush out one after another. But at this time, not only Song Tao and the others didn't know anything about it, but even the Dongcheng people on the other side didn't know. When the smoke bomb was thrown, smoke rose to the ground, preventing the group of people from immediately noticing that something was wrong. At that time, Tao Ran was already hiding in a tree on the roadside to observe. She found that she didn't need to carry out excessive inducement actions. The zombies had been attracted by the noisy killing sounds ahead, and the fresh human breath made them more active. Tao Ran threw several more smoke bombs one after another. But the distance of more than 100 meters is too easy. The zombies rushed towards the east gate themselves. People cannot see in the smoke and their movements will be hindered. But zombies rely on breath to move, so smoke bombs have basically no effect on them. Therefore their direction of travel is accurate. In addition, Tao Ran guided the grenades thrown out at the right time, further allowing the zombies coming out of the construction site from behind to be hung up by the light of the fire and prevent them from getting separated. Just like that, the vast and completely invisible group of zombies rushed towards the east gate. But Song Tao and others at the east gate discovered that something had happened, and they were beyond their reach. At this moment, Song Tao and others, who had no retreat, were almost going crazy. Indeed, as Tao Ran said, they were more than enough to deal with 200 zombies, and it might not be difficult to deal with 1,000, but if it was 20,000, then even if they had great skills, they wouldn't be able to maintain their physical strength. They could only contact Wang Yan, Wang Ziyi, and the others quickly and ask for rescue. There were countless zombies that could not be beaten at a glance. In desperation, the people surrounded finally followed Song Tao's example and stood on the roof of the car. One of their cars was surrounded. Zombies crowded their car and reached out to grab their legs. The chaotic movements of the group of demons gave each of them a fear as if they were in sure hell. And the community, which had been quiet all this time, finally reacted. First, 2 clusters of fireworks shot into the sky. The sky was lit up for a moment, and the smoke in the sky didn't dissipate for a long time. It was really beautiful to see it left in the sky. This is the signal flare given by the base. According to Tao Ran's idea, the finishing work should be left to the base. What she has to do next is just to delay in various ways. But Song Tao and the others were not paying attention to the flares, because at this time, grenades also began to be thrown out in the community. There is no need to aim at the other party. You know they are outside the east gate, so you can just throw them out casually. Grenades exploded one after another. Many of Song Tao and the others were unable to dodge and were blown up by the grenades. In the blink of an eye, there were a series of wailings, curses, and calls for help, and the air began to be filled with the smell of blood. Such movements and smells made zombies come in an endless stream. The entire construction site is like a water switch. I don't know when all the zombies will be gone. What made Song Tao and the others even more resentful was that people in the community, which had been quiet just now and seemed to be deserted, now came to life. They seized this opportunity to add insult to injury and launched a sneak attack. The aiming laser points of sniper rifles flashed on their brothers, bullets began to fire, and even bows and arrows were fired. Standing on the roof of the car, they have become an excellent target for the people in the community. The other party does not even need to aim too closely. They only need to lock on each roof and they will hit it 9 times out of 10. There were zombies under the car and they couldn't get out, and the roof of the car was hit. Song Tao and the others were complaining and had nowhere to go. Dongcheng people fell one by one. What made Song Tao even more depressed was when he went to target the people standing high up in the community, shooting guns and drawing bows, and found that they were all wearing a pair of sunglasses. He can't see their eyes. He couldn't spy on their plans at all. So obviously, this time is no different from the previous times. He was plotted again. The other party had already planned and designed the script long ago, and he was just a clown who cooperated step by step with the other party's performance. The feeling of powerlessness almost drove him crazy. He cursed angrily again, "Shenrong, are you ashamed of yourself for acting so secretly? Is this all you have?" But before he finished shouting, he suddenly felt that he was also being targeted. He ducked in a hurry, and a sniper bullet grazed his face. The next second, another bullet came. This time, he dodged as the bullet grazed his scalp and took away a handful of his hair. The next second, another bullet came. The bullets came from the opposite direction of the neighborhood. "It's Shenrong." Song Tao was shocked. In the dark night with poor visibility, the smoke had not completely dissipated. Such long-distance shootings went straight to his vital points 3 times. If it weren't for his special powers, he would have hit the target with perfect accuracy. How much mental strength does this have to have? Provoke me? Are you scared? Tao Ran's voice came, question my ability. Do you want to try it again? If you're capable, let's challenge him to a duel. Song Tao followed the sound and locked in. Then come here. Tao Ran smiled wildly and refused to answer him. Song Tao picked up the walkie-talkie and called Wang Yan, "It's Shenrong. She is the one who caused the trouble. To capture the thief, capture the king first, then capture her, and this community will be easy to capture. I have located the second building of the abandoned building opposite where she is now." At this moment, the remaining Dongcheng people, the main force, naturally cannot give up these 100 brothers and can only work hard to help rescue them. But there are too many zombies, and we can't kill them all, we can only lure them away. However, this is not simple. And because of the growing commotion and the bloody smell that had spread in the air, not only the construction site, but also the zombies wandering around nearby were attracted. An endless stream with no end.